Welcome back to the Gospel Guys. This is episode 72, right?
73.
73. See, that's what he didn't tell me that before
Sorry
I got
about
on
that.
here. So 73, and this is episode called "The Cost of the Kingdom."
Mm-hmm.
I'm Jonathan,
And I'm Matt.
and today we're going to be in Matthew and Mark. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
be in Matthew chapter 13, verses 34 and 35, and 44 through 52. 53. Okay. And then we're going to be in Mark chapter 4 and in verses 33 and 34. So
Yeah.
I did the best I could off my memory. So
That's I didn't. I got it written down. He doesn't, so he did well.
Yeah.
This will be the last of the parables section of Matthew 13. We'll finish that up today, and then just keep moving along.
Trucking. Keep on trucking.
Yeah. So, there are 3 parables in this episode, and I think it worked out the last couple episodes that we just read them one at a time and then went through them. The first 2 are short, but I will read them and we'll go through them. This is from Matthew 13:44.
13 what?
44.
Okay. 44 then going back to 30?
Yeah.
Man.
We're just
I'm telling-
we're following Mark's.
Yeah. This is what I deal with all the time, folks. Just know that. So
Sorry.
this is what expository. This is not expository. This is what chronological.
Chronological,
looks like.
yeah. Yep. So Matthew 13:44 from the Christian Standard Bible. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure buried in a field that a man found and reburied. Then in his joy he goes and sells everything he has and buys that field. Just one verse parable.
Yeah, I look at it as when you see the value of something or someone, you'll do whatever it takes to have it. So when we see how valuable God is and when He is our treasure, then we will see the world spiritually and worry less about the physical things. So kind of like Matthew 5:33, I think it is, where it says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, His righteousness. All these things will be added unto you." If you seek God first, then the physical things will no longer be the necessary things. So.
Yeah. It kind of like this parable kind of causes us to answer the question, what do we treasure most?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes not good things.
No, not good things. Not good things. But I found this verse in Proverbs 2, 1 through 5, and I thought it was nice. It was fitting. It says, "My son, if you accept my words and store my commands within you, listening closely to wisdom and directing your heart to understanding. Furthermore, if you call out to insight and lift your voice to understanding, if you seek it like silver and search for it like a hidden treasure, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and discover the knowledge of God." So I think that was very fitting with this. This man found, he found this fear, he found this understanding, he found this knowledge, and he did put it away. He buried it in a field because he realized the value of it.
Yeah.
And then he, once he found there was nothing more valuable, he goes out, he sells everything he has, and to get this back. And I think like a common analogy would be, you're out hunting on a friend's property and you come across, you remember the Beverly Hillbillies, he shoots that and the liquid gold, and the oil comes up. It's like that same idea. Like, man, if you find that, try to purchase that property because it's valuable.
Exactly.
So doing everything you can to find the joy of the gospel, whether that means selling everything you have. And that'll come up later in the gospel where Jesus actually confronts a man that says, "Sell everything you have and follow me."
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, when we see the value in the spiritual realm that we have, then the physical realm, it doesn't disappear. It's just less valuable. Remember John 4 a long time ago, but in John 4, when the woman came for water, but then at the end of it, she left her water pot behind because she no longer had value in the physical. She had value in the spiritual at that moment.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Giving up all of your earthly value for heavenly value
Yes.
is the key here.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so 13, 44, and 45. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls. When he found one priceless pearl, he he went and sold everything he had and bought it.
Yeah.
So, similar idea as the last one. He just kind of expands it a little bit, and the kingdom is worth everything, and the more you follow Christ, the more you understand that it's kind of a priceless gift, and that nothing can take the place of that.
When you find, when you find what, and I emphasize who you are looking for, he fills every void that earthly things cannot fill, and so he was willing to sell out for him because he's enough. And these references are so real, but often as believers we get comfortable sometimes with he fills every void, and yet we still try to fill voids. He is the void filler, and then we start focusing on the world again. So it's not like, hey, once I found Jesus, I never struggle with wanting anything else again. It's not that, but he is enough to fill every void that you have. He's enough to answer every need that could come to your life. So he's not like a new car where you're like, I need a new car. You go get a new car and you're excited about it for 3 days, and then you're like, I hate this. I have to make a payment on it.
Yeah.
So, but Jesus Christ, he's actually worth it all the way around. So,
and what I think Matthew is doing is, well, Jesus is doing, but what Matthew's wanting us to see by writing this is that there is a lot of importance in these two parables. They're very similar, same idea, and so it's almost like Jesus is doubling down on teaching this concept of giving everything, every earthly thing you have for the heavenly things.
Absolutely, yeah.
And these people didn't really have much either. I mean, compared to what we have.
No, they didn't. But I think it's not necessarily what they had; it's what they're focused on getting. Where's their focus at?
Well, my point was that they were asked to give up, like, almost the things they had were almost the basics you needed to live, and they were asked to give that up. And look at us today. We're like, we have everything plus.
Yes.
And we're like, we can't give that up. We can't give up our second cell phone, or we can't give up whatever it is.
Yeah.
So,
our sixth car.
Yeah.
Our second house on the beach. And I have none of those things. I'm just saying random statements. So,
and Christians can have those things.
They can, yeah. And it's not sinful to have them. I think everything comes to, God gives things to people like that because they're going to use them for the right reasons. God doesn't give it to people like other people, maybe because they're not, or maybe because it would hurt them or hinder them in some way. Maybe I wouldn't serve the Lord if I had a beach house that I could go to all the time. Maybe I wouldn't do the things I'm supposed to do.
Very true. All right, last parable of the episode, and then there's some more teaching, but this is the last parable. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a large net thrown into the sea. It collected every kind of fish, and when it was full, they dragged it ashore, sat down, and gathered the good fish into the containers, but threw out the worthless ones. So it will be at the end of the age. The angels will go out, separate the good people from the righteous, and throw them into the blazing furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Have you understood all these things? I'll stop there.
Yeah, it's like, when draw everything into the boat. Not everyone, but not everyone who cries, "Lord, Lord," will enter into the kingdom of heaven. They'll throw some of it will get thrown out.
So we see Jesus now moving from he was doing a lot of agricultural imagery, and now he's kind of moving to this like fishing imagery, and he's using the idea of which is large net or a drag net. And so what the drag net was is it had weighted sinkers on it, flowed to the bottom of whatever sea they were fishing out of, and it would just collect whatever it could. Yeah. The opposite would have been, it cascades across the water, and it basically catches fish at a certain level of the water, and it slowly sinks. You catch them, and so you had more control over what kind of fish you wanted to catch.
Yeah.
With this, you just threw it in, it went to the bottom, and you just started pulling.
Fish and trash, everything comes with the same.
And that's the idea. That's the idea Jesus is using here, and he doesn't use the Greek word here for net is not the same net as the other net that you'll see in the Gospels. This is a drag net, not a casting net. It's
almost like he's hitting every person. If you look at the parables, there's nobody that's left out of any of the parables.
Yeah.
Fishermen,
Every kind of bird,
farmers,
every soil,
yeah. I
every
mean,
fish.
I'm just talking about just his descriptions: fishermen, farmers.
Oh, yeah. Merchants,
household
mothers,
household people. He's hitting every. He wants to make sure that we understand, no matter what walk of life you're in, I'm trying to talk to you. No matter what you do, who you are, what your gender is, what your race is, what your religious background, occupation. I want you to know the same thing that I want everyone else to know. I want that I have come for you, and I want you to receive me to yourself, and I want you to take my light. I want you to be a good fish in my net. I want you to be mine, and so you have the choice. Will you be mine?
Yeah. This to me, this every kind of fish, that everyone. It's very inclusive. The gospel calls inclusive.
Every kind of fish, every kind of fowl, like you said.
Yeah. And I like if you would jump to John 12, Jesus says something of like, when I am lifted up, I will draw all to myself.
Yeah.
And it's that same idea here is that, both Jew, both Gentile, all will be drawn to Christ. There's no separation on ethnicity, but where the separation is between belief and unbelief.
Yes.
It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what you did.
Yeah.
Man, I thought you'd give the reference there. The NSYNC or Backstreet Boys.
Listen. I catch it. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what you did, as long as you love me.
Yeah, there you go. I was waiting for you to finish it off.
But the problem is, we have to see that he loved us first.
Yes.
So then we can love him back. And so, I was actually looking at another Bible verse whenever you're going off on this.
Yeah, that's all right. I could tell you were like reading something.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to catch up on something, but when the Backstreet Boys come in, then I get distracted very easily. So,
don't we all?
Yeah, don't we? I was trying to looking at where we're going from here, and so, but no, it is interesting. Jesus Christ loves everybody. He came to the world to save sinners, not just saints. I had another thought in my head, and then you got me. You completely bypassed my mind from the Backstreet Boys, and that's easy to do. So yeah, Jesus Christ came to the world to save sinners.
And the idea here is that he then, once he gets this net full of whatever, everything, then he gathers the good fish into containers, it says, and he throws out the worthless ones. And a couple episodes ago, I think, I read something out of Isaiah, just flipping there now, Isaiah 5, I believe it was, where it talks about the vineyard that had good grapes, and then Isaiah calls them worthless grapes.
Yeah.
The same idea here is that there's the good grapes, here are the good fish, and the worthless fish.
Yeah.
The fish that don't produce anything. You could even get up, not only fish, but I'm sure there were like little crabs and all kinds of other random stuff that they couldn't do anything with. And it doesn't help the fishermen to get that kind of stuff. They can't sell them. They can't use them.
Yeah, if you did this in the oceans that we have now, you'd find glass and metal. And, so back then, I don't know what rocks or whatever they'd find in there. So,
I think it was just fish that they didn't want.
And yeah, they definitely. Well, there's anymore. Fishing has changed. Just saying.
Yeah.
Because I was actually walking down a pier a while back, and they'll catch these small fish, the bluegill or whatever. You don't eat them, but they'll catch them. They'll cut them in pieces, and then they'll put them on the hook and throw them out there.
Oh, okay.
And they'll catch fish with fish. So they're worthless as far as what fish.
Can't eat them.
Yeah, but other fish will eat them.
Use them for bait.
But they didn't have that back then. But I'm just saying that's what I thought about. I was like, well, there's no fish that's useless, but there probably is that I don't know about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fish I don't want to eat. So
that's true. That's true. And there's fish that reject. Fish. Also, people that reject the gospel, and they're worthless.
Absolutely.
And then he goes on to say what will happen to the fish that get rejected. He says, so it'll be at the end of the age. And we've talked about that pretty heavily over the last couple of episodes, like when Christ returns and judgment is started, that the angels will go out and separate the evil people from the righteous.
I heard a really good illustration one time. I may have given it on here before, but about the Titanic. Did you ever hear that one?
I don't know.
I think it was White. I think Whitestone or White. It was White something that streamlined that at the Titanic, the ship that God Himself couldn't sink. In the end, there are 4 classes of people got on the boat, whether it be the working class, the lower, middle, upper class, and then the people that were working on the boat. There were 4 classes of people that were on there. And but when the Titanic sunk, every day there would be White Star. That's what it was. There would be people outside waiting to see a name. They'd bring a name out on a platform, and they'd read the name out loud. And they would put them on 1 or 2 boards. The one on the one side said "saved," those who were saved. The one on the other side is those who were lost. And so people waited for the name to be called out, and then they would walk over and put them on that side. And so 4 classes of people got on the boat, but only 2 classes got off. Those who were saved, those who were lost.
Yeah.
Very referenceable to this. It's like you may look at yourself as different, but you're really one of 2 categories. You're either saved or you're lost. There's no third ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this, remember, we had talked a lot about Revelation 14 in the last episode, and this is the same idea here, is that the angels will come and they'll separate the wheat and the grapes and the winepress. And the grapes are also, can be called the weeds or the tares. Here, he throws them, this is meaning the weeds, he throws them into the blazing furnace. And we get this phrase where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. This is the 3rd of the 7 gospel appearances. And I read something out of Psalms last episode. I want to read. This is actually out of the same chapter, different verse. It's verse 16. With godless mockery, they gnash their teeth at me. So once again, this role reversal where while on earth, the godless, the unrighteous, they gnash their teeth at the righteous. And then
they did that with Stephen too, didn't they? When he was sharing,
it might be the same.
They saw him as a face of an angel, and they were so angry at him.
Let's see here. I can look in Acts 7 real quick. They heard him. They were enraged and gnashed their teeth at him. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I thought that visual was given in that same passage.
And I'm sure it's the same word. I'm sure it's the same word there. And so once again, there's a role reversal about how people on earth gnash their teeth, and they're going to be almost eternally gnashing their teeth when they're thrown into a blazing fire.
It's kind of like you can get angry, you can get right. I think that's your choices when you hear truth. Because Stephen wasn't really throwing out angry truth. He was just saying, he was referencing, I think he referenced like their history.
Oh, yeah.
He referenced their present. He referenced their hearts and kind of like, they just got mad. But I think out of that story is when the Apostle Paul got saved. So
yeah, it could be. Or he got saved in the main Damascus Road.
Yeah, he got saved in the Damascus
Road.
Road,
the gospel that
but it was right after this. Yeah, I always picture Paul looking down where this is how my mind pictures the story. If you've heard me, you've heard this before. But when Paul's looking down in the pit of them throwing stones at him, he kind of looks at Stephen's eyes looking up, because that's when Stephen sees Jesus standing at the right hand of the throne of God. So I can picture Stephen looking up and said, "Lord, lay not this sin on their account. Don't charge them for this sin. May this be forgiven." Which he just saw Jesus do the same thing on the cross. Father, forgive them; they don't know what to do. And then later on, the Apostle Paul does the same thing. The exact same thing, the same progression of line, and then I could picture Stephen looking up, and his face looked as an angel, and he's looking at Jesus Christ standing. The first time you'll see Jesus standing in heaven, and the only time, I believe. Every other time he's sitting in authority, he's actually, I believe, standing in ovation to the first martyr who's standing in heaven. And I could just picture Paul looking down, thinking, "What is he looking at?" And kind of looking up. And then I could see conviction coming over Paul.
Yeah.
And Paul saying, "I want to know," going to his God at that moment and saying, "God, I want to know what he saw." And I think Jesus revealed that to Paul. That's how I picture it. I think Paul was convicted watching Stephen die for the first time ever. So that's just how I visualize it. So, because I don't think Paul I don't think Paul could have gotten saved outside of his own will. Like, I think he had to respond to something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
anyway, go ahead.
And we'll get there.
That's way.
Hopefully, we'll get there someday.
That's X. Yeah. When we get there again, we'll see if my mind changes on anything I just said. if you remember.
So, verse 51, Jesus asks them, "Have you understood all these things?" They answered him, "Yes." And
I think I put a laughing face there. Do you understand? Yeah. I'd be like, I have a couple questions.
yeah, or it was one of those. Maybe they kind of got the gist of it, but there was definitely more that they wanted to know.
Well, we'll ask them later. You know.
But this is kind of the end of the parable section, and these are all, like we said, kingdom parables, and these go. It seems like from he kind of works his way, like just getting the gospel introduced, and then he continues as it gets heavier and heavier, and then as he works his way through, it starts to introduce more like end times, parables and stuff like that. So definitely a trajectory that he's working toward here.
Yeah.
So in verse 52, he says, "Therefore, he said to them, every teacher of the law who has become a disciple in the kingdom of heaven is like the owner of a house who brings out of his storeroom treasures new and old." Jesus was speaking the word to them and told the crowds all these things in many parables, like these as they were able to understand. He did not tell them anything without a parable, so that what was spoken through the prophet might be fulfilled. "I will open my mouth in parables. I will declare things kept secret from the foundation of the world." Privately, however, he explained everything to his disciples. When Jesus finished these parables, he left there. So this little 52, he says, "Therefore, every teacher of the law who has become a disciple of the kingdom is like an owner of a house who brings out of its storeroom treasures new and old." And I think the understanding here is that the kingdom reveals truths brought forth through the law. The law was there, and then the kingdom reveals these. This isn't something new. Jesus isn't saying disregard what was taught.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't new, but he uses the old to get his point across. He is the fulfillment, and he uses the law to teach and ultimately fulfill.
Yeah.
Let me turn here to Galatians 3, if you give me a second here.
I just think about Mark 4, where he says, he spake parables, many to hear them alone, and then he pulled his disciples aside and he explained the detail. Could you imagine being part of that meeting? Like, where you get, like, I get the inside, the inner circle mentality. It's like, man, like, not only did we get to hear this, we got a full relational explanation. Like, there's no, like, I wonder if he meant this. And I hate to say it, we have that biblically. It's like, I wonder if there was any implication of this or that. We kind of have this mentality that we don't know. Some things we know, but some things we just don't.
Yeah.
We're just kind of referencing, saying he could have meant this, he could have meant that. But they got the absolute, this is exactly what I was saying. Are there any questions? No, we got it. I'd have had like 1,000 questions probably.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's as easy as it can be. But to me, it's just like, I'd probably just ask for clarification about 20 times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And maybe all these were answers to questions that aren't recorded.
that's possible. Yeah, that's very well could be.
Yeah. But just a quick go back on that verse 52. I wanted to touch Galatians 3. It says, "The law then was our guardian until Christ, so that we could be justified by faith." So what we see here is that, and it says, "But since that faith has come, we are no longer under a guardian." So we see that the law had to exist. It's kind of the idea of when you first start riding a bike, you have to use training wheels.
Yeah.
And the law was kind of like the training wheels. Then once Christ came, we no longer needed this. You know, it was the guardian, but when Christ came, we didn't need that guardian of the law. It can remove the training wheels and ride without him.
I feel like it's a matter. The law has always been to point that we are unable to do it on our own. We fall short. That's kind of what the law was for. The Bible calls it, probably in the CSB, it says mirror. It says natural looking glass. Same thing. The law is a natural looking glass or a mirror, so we can see ourselves for who we are and know that we don't measure up. And the Bible says in Romans 2, the law is written on your heart. And so when when Jesus came, it's not that the Ten Commandments ceased to exist. Thou shalt not murder. We shouldn't murder. Like, it's there.
Yeah.
It's written on our heart.
Cain knew it was wrong before it was the law.
Exactly, because it was written on his heart. And so it's not that the law ceases. It's that the relationship through the law is gone. My relationship is no longer through the temple or through the sacrifices that I take or through the making sure that I don't do this or do that. My relationship now is based on my through the Holy Spirit and in the Word of God. So it's the same person, different relationship, I guess. We have a closer relationship with God than the disciples did until they received the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, that's true.
Or we have the access to a closer relationship with God. Now, once the disciples received the Holy Spirit in Acts chapter 2, they had it. They got it.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. Then Jesus finishes, and what Mark puts this at the end of his parable section, where Matthew puts it in the middle, and says Jesus was speaking the word to them and told the crowds all these things in many parables. And Jesus used this method because he was able to keep hidden things he wanted to keep hidden, and things he wanted revealed, he would reveal them. And it was that's why he used these parables. And he did not tell them anything without a parable. And even I feel like if you jump to John 14 through 16 when he's talking to them, he doesn't speak in parables, but it's there very much like, what does that mean? He says, I'll go away, but you'll see me again. They're like, what does that mean? Like, they were always questioning, like, what are these things? Yeah. What is he always saying? We would have been the same way.
Oh, man,
for sure.
I question everything now.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So I definitely, I don't know. Like, I think it's like, man, I would have been a better Christian if I was able to walk with Jesus Christ every day like the disciples do. No, I wouldn't, because I can walk with Jesus Christ every day now, and I still struggle and fail. So, no, absolutely. God has been so faithful to me. He's been so good to me, and I'm so thankful that I get to have a personal relationship with Him. There are times in my life that it's a mess, but that's not because Jesus Christ is withdrawn from me. It's because I've withdrawn from Him.
Yeah.
It's always on me. So
yeah,
it's encouraging, isn't it?
Well,
John, you're always the problem. It's like, thanks, honey. That's all.
And we know it's not him.
No, it's definitely not him. And so
Matthew continues, and he quotes an Old Testament verse, so that was spoken through the prophet might be fulfilled. Now Psalm 78 is what this is. This is by a
78:2, right?
78:2, yeah.
Asaph.
Asaph, yeah. So this is not David as a lot of Psalms are, but what this actually was is this guy was a sort of like a worship leader for David. He got Psalms together, and they would do whatever kind of worship they would do, and he actually wrote.
So he was like you sometimes,
Yeah, sometimes
you do worship.
I do a little bit of worship here and there. Yeah. He wrote Psalm 50, and then he wrote Psalm 73 through 83. So he wrote a lot of Psalms for David. He wrote a lot of Psalms to help the people worship better. But one thing I always do when I run up against an Old Testament verse in the New Testament, I say, why is that there? And if you read Psalm 78, it's basically, especially 1 through 8, it's a retelling of Israel's disobedience and then how God is faithful to Israel. The secret things were pointing to Israel, right? Just to Israel. But here, Jesus expands it to the whole kingdom. No longer is it just Israel that's getting these secret things. It's the whole kingdom. And he's revealing these mysteries that kind of were only working their way through Israel until now. Now everybody is being able to hear these parables and hear this revelation. I really like that he opened his mouth, and it's directly speaking about Jesus. I'll open my mouth in parables.
Would you consider the woman at the well a parable?
No.
No, I mean, not the story, but him parabling her. If you knew the water that I would offer you.
I don't think that's a parable.
I'm just saying.
I wouldn't say it is. And I mean,
I don't know.
But
you say everything's a parable, so I was just curious.
I don't say everything's a parable.
No, we'll get to that discussion later. Yeah. But no, I'm just saying, do you think Jesus used, not parable, I guess, he used visuals?
Yeah. That's a big way people learned back then.
Yeah, he used visuals, and because give me a drink while you're talking to me. Well, if you knew who you're talking to, you'd ask me for a drink.
It sounds easy too, but then it's like everything is on a different level.
Yeah, everything Jesus did was, and so that's why I was saying he spoke to her in picture form or somewhat of a parable form is what I'm saying. That's why I was asking, would you call that a parable speaking? Because everything he was saying was a spiritual revelation to a physical need. So I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah. Yeah,
it wasn't in Matthew 13. It's not allowed to be a parable.
Well, there's other places I mean, an easy indicator for us is definitely where he says, "And he told this parable."
Yeah,
that's an easy like those are no duh.
Yeah.
So
I'm not even saying the woman at the well story wasn't a parable. But I was just thinking about the way Jesus spoke to her in that picture form, but he actually gave her the explanation, at the end.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then the section closes where Jesus explains everything to disciples privately. Many of Jesus' teachings were just for those 12. Now they wrote them down for us to be able to learn. They were for Judas. He just didn't. He didn't listen to him.
That's true. That's true. They were for 12. Only 11. Only 11 received it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of places where it's just him and his boys and him and his 12.
Well, the chosen has like everybody there with him.
I know.
It's like he had his posse.
Yeah, but there are places that are very explicitly that it's just those 12, and so he explained everything to them privately, and then finished the parables, and he moves on. And it's good to see that. One of the things I love about Jesus is that he didn't say, well, I'm just going to go and teach in Nazareth. I'm just going to go and teach in this one city. Like he's always on the move. He's wanting to share the gospel, and he's going to leave there.
Jesus moved on so fast. His disciples couldn't have. I guarantee. Like I just think about how like we'll beat a dead horse. Hey Jesus, let's talk about what we talked about yesterday again. Yeah. And Jesus like, no, we're moving on.
Yep.
It's like, no,
I've already told you this.
No, I have questions. Well, we'll get to it.
Yeah, and I mean, and though if Matthew and John, who wrote the two Gospels, were with him, kind of maybe even notating some, they could have easily gone back and looked. Oh, what did he say about? Oh, yeah, this is what he said about this. That could have been possible.
You think that they compared notes?
Someone had to. These Gospels are very similar.
Mark says, Matthew.
Yeah.
Why in the world did you put that up here? Why didn't I remember that until I was...
Yeah.
I remembered that here, and then I remembered all this other stuff. That Matthew sounds like me writing, where I'll be trying to write a story, and I'll skip something, and then I'll be like, oh, but then I did this too. I've just forgot.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back to the note. Yeah, that's Matthew sounds a lot like me.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole debate in itself on all these things. So
yeah.
Well, I think that's all we have. We're going to be jumping into some narrative here for the next mini episodes, so that's going to be fun.
Sounds like fun. I'm looking forward to the titles. That's all I'm here for, baby.
That's all you're here for. Once I say the titles, just take it away.
I just check out.
Yep. I got to up my title game.
You do. Yeah. Or I'm going to start bringing some.
There you go. If you need to, or if you want to get a hold of us, we have an email at thegospelguys5@gmail.com. Send us a line.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Whether you need the gospel, salvation, whether you need to know, hey, how do I grow? What's a good way to build my relationship with Jesus? Or, hey, how do I know what a good church looks like? How would I know, if I'm going to a healthy church or if I'm going to a good church or a bad church? And things like that. We just want to help people. Because it's personal relationships important, but also your relationship with the people you have a relationship with Jesus with is important. Where you go to church is important. So
it is. For sure.
We want to help you any way we can. So
yeah.
Love to hear from you.
Well, Jonathan, it's always good seeing you.
Always a pleasure to be seen. Just kidding. It's always good to see you too.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
All right, God bless.
All right, everybody, take care. Bye.